Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, welcome to my channel Musings of a Marine. I'm John, and today we're going to talk about another subject in regards to the NFL and other sports, and that's about which team should you root for. You know, most people in this country, they root for the teams from the town they were born and raised in or nearby. I was born in Detroit. I've grown up near Detroit, and I live near Detroit even now. Guess how many of my favorite teams reside in Detroit? Two of them, the Pistons and the Red Wings. Okay, I grew up in the 70s. There's not one Detroit team in the 70s that won a championship. The Tigers came close. They came close in 72 when they got to one game within going to the World Series against Oakland, but they didn't get there. The other three teams in the league, the Pistons and the Red Wings, didn't even sniff a championship, and the Lions made the playoffs 3 times and got eliminated in the first round every time. That is their MO, and it continues pretty much to this day. All right. So I never could understand what law says that you have to root for the team that you were born in or the team near where you live. I don't agree with that. As you notice, I'm wearing an Indianapolis Colts hat. They have been my favorite team for going on 25 seasons. Yes, that long. Why? Well, it all started when my favorite player, Jim Harbaugh, started playing there. But I started going to games in Indianapolis, and I love the town, and I love the team, and they've been my favorite ever since. And I don't care who their quarterback is. Obviously, they've had some good ones since Harbaugh. Peyton Manning's a Hall of Famer. Andrew Luck may someday be a Hall of Famer. He certainly has the talent. Now, how many Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks have the Lions had in my lifetime? That's an easy answer. 0. Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback the Lions have ever had in their existence. Yes, even better than Bobby Lane. Bobby Lane would absolutely not even make a squad if he tried out for a football team with the talent that he had back in the 50s. He threw more interceptions than touchdown passes, and he had a lot of help on those teams. There's a lot of teams from the championship Lions in the 50s, a lot of players that are actually in the Hall of Fame. Right now, the Lions have nobody on their team that is worthy of Hall of Fame consideration right now in their career. All right? Why should we as fans reward futility just because some team is from where we live or near where we live? That makes no sense to me. When I was a kid in the 70s, after Al Kaline retired, the Los Angeles Dodgers were my favorite team. They were my favorite team for 8 seasons. Ron Cey, Steve Garvey, those were my guys. During that time span, the Dodgers went to the World Series 4 times, and they finally won it in 81. Unfortunately, I missed that World Series because I was in Marine Corps boot camp at the time. But nonetheless, at least they finally won one, and they won it with my 2 favorite players as well. Okay, what did the Tigers do during all of that time? Nothing. They barely would even make it to the playoffs if they did at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think the Tigers made the playoffs between 1972 and 1984 when they finally won another World Series. By the way, I missed that one too. I was in Okinawa at the time. But anyways, my point is this. Why should I root for teams that consistently let us down? The Red Wings finally got good because they got a good owner in Mike Ilitch. And he turned that whole organization around. And the Red Wings now have won 4 Stanley Cups in my lifetime. Bill Davidson, he bought the Pistons. What did the Pistons do? Well, in my lifetime, they won 3 championships. The Tigers have only won 2 world championships in my lifetime. And the first time, unfortunately, was in '68 when I was 5 years old. I don't even remember it. Okay? The Lions, on the other hand, have won nothing. If there's one team in Detroit that does not deserve a Detroiter's loyalty, it is the Detroit Lions. Now, I read some statistics. I want to share them with you about the futility of this organization. They are one of only 4 teams in the NFL who has never played in a Super Bowl. And they have been around as long as the Super Bowl has been around, and then some. They are only one of 3 teams to go an entire season without winning a game, and the first one to go 0-16. They are only one of 2 teams who haven't won a playoff game since 1991. And here's the biggest kicker of all. Since the Super Bowl started, there's not one team in the NFL that has lost more games than the Detroit Lions. Do you get it why I'm a Colts fan? Even when the Colts have a bad season, you can tell through the draft, and I'm a draftnik, I follow it to the T. I know that the team's going to get better. I know they're going to head in the right direction. Because love or hate Jim Irsay, the guy knows football more than most owners. He was general manager of the Colts before he became their head owner. Now, can you say that about any of the Lions front office? No. The old man Ford, William Clay, he didn't want to spend any money on anybody until the salary cap forced him to. Now he's passed. His son didn't know what to do. He brought in Matt Millen, and we know how that turned out. And now we've got Martha Firestone. Yeah, she brought in Bob Quinn from the Patriots. Maybe that'll help, but I doubt it. I don't know if it's the Kennedy curse or what. And if you're wondering what that is, William Clay Ford became the majority owner of the Lions the same day John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I don't know if that has anything to do with the futility of the Lions, but they have been the most pathetic franchise ever since he took over as owner. And it will continue because it's still in the family to this day, and they are never going to sell the team. Why would they? Lions fans are great fans. They show up for the games. They root for the team religiously, and I don't get it. The team has never done anything to deserve their loyalty. Nothing. They had one good season, 1991. They won one playoff game. I am 55 years old, and it is the only playoff game I've ever seen the Lions win. They haven't won any since 1957 other than that one. So you tell me, why should I be a Lions fan just because I was born in Detroit? Why should I be a Tigers fan just because I was born in Detroit? What have the Tigers done? Yeah, they got to a couple World Series with Jim Leyland. Mike Ilitch brought in the right people, and they got the job done. But they didn't win the whole thing. Okay? Now one could argue, well, hey, John, your favorite baseball team is the Seattle Mariners. What the heck have they done? Well, I can tell you one thing they've done. In 2001, they won 116 games. Tigers have never done that. The Mariners right now are very competitive and may very well make the playoffs. What do the Tigers do? They had a fire sale and got rid of all of their good players, except for Castellanos. The rest of them are all gone. Why would you pay good earned money to go see a team that got rid of all their good players? Oh, they're building for the future. Really? I haven't seen one prospect, one young guy they brought up this year to play on that team that is doing anything. They got a couple of decent pitchers and Fires and Boyd, and they're probably going to be gone after the trade deadline. The team is going to be lousy for years. The Red Wings can't have a winning season anymore. The Pistons stink, and nobody wants to play for them anyways because the NBA has become a joke. You got super teams, and the rest of them are also rans. So that leaves us to my favorite sport, football, my favorite league, the NFL. And, well, we know what the Lions are going to do this year. They're predicted to go 6-10 by one expert. Nothing to get excited about this year, folks. The Vikings, they made it to the NFC Championship last year. Packers got Aaron Rodgers back healthy. Do you honestly think the Lions are going to do anything this year? Yeah, sure, my Colts are down a little bit. But Andrew Luck is back, and you never know what might happen. At least I know they're improving. Now, let's get to one last thing. The Colts were down. They had a lousy season. They fired their coach. Who did they get? The offensive coordinator of the winning Super Bowl championship Philadelphia Eagles, because they got snubbed by the losing offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. Now, who did the Lions hire? Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots, whose defense couldn't stop anybody in the playoffs. Now, I ask you, what team do you think is heading in the right direction? It's not the Lions. The futility is going to continue. Okay? Do yourself a favor. When I was a kid, my favorite football team was the St. Louis Cardinals because my favorite player was Donnie Anderson and he played for him. Some of my best friends, their favorite teams were the Colts, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Steelers. Nobody that I associated with wanted to admit that they were a diehard Lions fan. And for good reason. Even as little kids, we got it. We knew the team stunk. And they're not going to be good this year either. Where you're born should have no bearing, especially in the information age when we can follow any team we want at any time. It should have no bearing on who your favorite team is. Okay? So that's my thoughts today. I'm John. I'm a Marine. And I'm a big-time Colts fan. Go Indy, and you have yourself a great evening.